It's midnight, December 17th, 1944. A Belgian cafe in the tiny village of Lanzarote. A 20-year-old American lieutenant sits slumped against a wall, blood soaking through his pant leg. His runner, a 19-year-old kid named Bill James, lies next to him, his face torn apart by shrapnel. Blood from James's wounds has soaked through Book's field jacket. Book looks up at a cuckoo clock on the wall. The hour hand hits 12. It's his 21st birthday. Before he left for the war, his Aunt Mildred read his palm and told him, "If you live past your 21st birthday, you're going to have a good life." He's alive. Barely. His entire platoon has been captured. He believes he's failed. He hasn't. He just doesn't know it yet. What Lyle Book and his 18 men did in the hours before that clock struck midnight would change the course of the entire Battle of the Bulge. But it would take 37 years before anyone bothered to notice. This is the story they never told you. Lyle Book was born on December 17, 1923, in St. Louis, Missouri. His father was a carpenter. The family had 5 kids crammed into homes with 1 bedroom, no indoor plumbing, no electricity. This was the Great Depression, and the Books were barely surviving. At 14 years old, Lyle walked into a National Guard armory with his older brother and enlisted in the 138th Infantry Regiment of the Missouri National Guard. Nobody asked his age. He was there for one reason: $1 per drill day. That money went straight to his family. Lyle was athletic, tough, and hungry to prove himself. By 16, he'd been promoted to supply sergeant, earning more money than most of the adults he knew. When Pearl Harbor hit in December 1941, his unit's 1-year activation got extended indefinitely. He was a teenager, and now he was in the Army for the duration of the war. But Book didn't just serve, he excelled. When his unit shipped out for the Aleutian Islands, he volunteered for officer candidate school instead. At Fort Benning, Georgia, he graduated 4th in a class of over 200. He was so good, they kept him on as an instructor, teaching small unit defensive tactics for an entire year. Think about that. This kid who joined the Guard at 14 to feed his family was now teaching officers how to fight. Eventually, he was transferred to the 99th Infantry Division and given command of the Intelligence and Reconnaissance Platoon of the 394th Infantry Regiment. His job? Lead an 18-man team behind enemy lines to gather intelligence, capture prisoners, and report enemy positions. At 20 years old, he was one of the youngest commissioned officers in the entire United States Army, and the second youngest man in his own platoon. November 1944. Book's division arrives in France and is sent straight to the Ardennes, a quiet stretch of forest along the Belgian-German border. Allied command considers this sector a backwater. Nothing is expected to happen here. For weeks, Book's platoon runs patrols, mans observation posts, and sneaks behind German lines. These men aren't ordinary soldiers. They were hand-selected because every single one of them was an expert marksman. Some were college-educated former members of the Army's specialized training program. They were an elite reconnaissance unit, the eyes and ears of the regiment. On December 10th, Book's commanding officer, Colonel Don Riley, sends the platoon to a wooded ridge overlooking the tiny village of Lanzarote. Their mission: watch a key road that runs through the Losheim Gap and report any enemy movement. They're supposed to be relieved in a few days. Book doesn't take chances. He orders his men to dig deep foxholes, reinforce them with pine logs, and set up interlocking fields of fire. He acquires extra weapons, including trading for a .50 caliber machine gun to mount on one of their jeeps. He sets tripwires connected to pebble-filled cans to detect infiltrators. He zeroes their weapons on a fence line that crosses the open field below their position. A tank destroyer unit from the 14th Cavalry Group sets up in the village below, about 200 yards away. Together, they form the farthest forward American position in this sector. Buch coordinates with them, but there's a problem. This gap between two corps was a seam in the American defenses, and nobody is paying attention to it. For 6 days, nothing happens. Then, December 16th arrives, 5:30 in the morning. A massive German artillery barrage lights up the entire Ardennes front. Trees shatter above Buch's foxholes. The ground shakes for nearly 2 hours. This is Hitler's last gamble. Operation Autumn Fog. The Battle of the Bulge has begun. When the shelling stops, the tank destroyer unit in Lanzarote does something that will haunt Buch. They withdraw. They pull out without telling him. Suddenly, Buch's 18 men and 4 artillery observers who arrived in a jeep are the only Americans for miles. Around 8 in the morning, a patrol Buch sent into the village reports back with terrifying news. An entire German formation is emerging from the fog to the east, hundreds of soldiers, marching straight toward Lanzarote. Buch watches through binoculars as the column turns north on the road below. They're heading directly toward his position. He can see their uniforms, paratroopers. The 9th Fallschirmjäger Regiment, 500 strong. He calls regiment for permission to withdraw and set up a delaying action. The answer comes back, hold your position. He calls for artillery support. None is available. Every battery is engaged across the front. Buch has a decision to make. 18 men against 500. No armor, no artillery, no reinforcements coming. His orders are to observe and report, not fight a battalion. But if he pulls out, the road to the Losheim Gap is wide open. Behind those paratroopers, the entire 1st SS Panzer Division is waiting to pour through, led by Colonel Joachim Peiper, one of the most ruthless commanders in the German military. Behind Peiper, the entire 6th Panzer Army. Buch orders his men to hold. The Germans march into Lanzarote and halt. Buch tells his men to hold fire until he gives the signal. He picks his moment. He sees 3 men who appear to be officers conferring near the head of the column. Then something unexpected happens. A blonde teenage girl runs out of a house and speaks to the German officers, pointing in the general direction of the American positions. The Germans immediately hit the ground. The element of surprise is gone. The Battle of Lanzarote Ridge begins. The first German assault comes straight across the open, snow-covered field below the ridge. Over 100 men charging uphill into interlocking fields of fire from expert marksmen who have had 6 days to prepare their positions. It's a slaughter. The Germans are cut down as they try to cross the fence line. Bodies pile up in the snow. The first attack is broken. The second attack comes. Private Sakanikas opens fire with the .50 caliber machine gun, ripping through the German ranks. Then Sergeant Bill Slape takes over, firing so many rounds the gun overheats and seizes up. The second assault is repelled. During all of this, Buch is running between foxholes, exposed to enemy fire, coordinating his men, redistributing ammunition. He's the leader his instructors at Fort Benning trained him to be. But there's a cost. An artillery observer named Billy Queen is shot in the stomach. With no medic and no surgical equipment, he bleeds out and dies. He's the only American killed in the entire battle. Around 2 in the afternoon, the third assault hits. By now, ammunition is running dangerously low. Buch's men are exhausted. They've been fighting for hours without relief, without support, without hope. Then the radio is shot out of Buch's hands. Their last link to the outside world is gone. As dusk falls, Buch prepares to withdraw. He passes the word. 3 short whistle blasts, and they pull out together. No one gets left behind. But the Germans have been crawling through the forest behind their position. Before Buch can blow his whistle, enemy soldiers emerge from the rear. They're surrounded. In the final moments, a German soldier shoves a gun barrel into Buch's foxhole. Buch pushes Sakanikas out of the line of fire. The weapon goes off, hitting Sakanikas in the face. Buch is pulled from his hole and asked in perfect English who is in command. He says he is. As he answers, gunfire erupts. Buch is shot in the leg. A German is hit next to him. It's over. After roughly 10 hours of continuous combat, the entire platoon is captured. After capture, Buch and his wounded men are brought into a cafe in Lanzarote. Buch holds Sakanikas, whose blood soaks through his jacket. That night, as the cuckoo clock strikes midnight, Buch turns 21. Something else happens that night that Buch won't learn about until decades later. SS Colonel Joachim Peiper arrives in Lanzarote, furious. His panzer column has been stuck behind the stalled paratroopers all day. The German plan called for Peiper to reach the Meuse River on day 1. Instead, he's barely moved. Because of Buch's platoon. 18 men delayed the entire 6th Panzer Army by roughly 20 hours. The northern wing of Hitler's offensive fell hopelessly behind schedule and never recovered. Military historians would later conclude that without this delay, the Battle of the Bulge could have been a catastrophic Allied defeat.
But none of that mattered to Buch.
He was marched east into Germany, crammed into a cattle car with 71 other POWs. For 11 days, they traveled with almost no food or water. By Christmas Day, 7 men in his car had died. Their unmarked trains were bombed by Allied aircraft who didn't know they were carrying prisoners. Buch ended up in Stalag 13D in Nuremberg, then Hammelburg. When Patton's task force briefly liberated the camp, Buch escaped with them, only to be recaptured by the SS and wounded again. When the war finally ended and Buch was freed, he weighed 114 pounds. He had hepatitis. He was so weak he couldn't even file a combat report about what had happened at Lanzarote. And because he never filed that report, and because every radio had been destroyed, and because his entire unit was captured, nobody in the US Army knew what they had done. Their story simply vanished. Buch came home, married his 5th grade classmate Lucille Zinzer, went to chiropractic school on the GI Bill, and built a quiet life in Sunset Hills, Missouri. He practiced for nearly 50 years. They raised 5 children. 2 of his sons became Navy pilots. But Buch never forgot his men. In 1965, the Army published its official history of the Battle of the Bulge. Buch's platoon was mentioned in a single passing line. One of his men, William Sakanikas, who had survived that horrific facial wound and changed his name to William James after the war, read it and contacted Buch. He told his old lieutenant it was time to fight for their recognition. Buch started writing letters to generals, to congressmen, to anyone who would listen. He contacted John Eisenhower, son of the president, who was writing his own book about the Bulge. Eisenhower told their story in detail and became a champion for their recognition. A columnist named Jack Anderson wrote about the platoon in Parade magazine in 1977. Finally, people started paying attention. On October 26, 1981, 37 years after the battle, the Secretary of the Army hosted a ceremony. 14 of the 18 men were present. Every member of the platoon was decorated. 4 received the Distinguished Service Cross. 5 received the Silver Star. 9 received the Bronze Star with a Valor device. They became the most decorated American platoon for a single action in the entire Second World War. Buch once said about that day on the ridge, "We were in those foxholes, and what we did was to defend ourselves and try to live through it." He never saw himself as a hero. He was a kid from St. Louis who joined the Guard at 14 to put food on his family's table. He spent his 21st birthday as a prisoner of war, holding his bleeding friend, believing he had failed. It took 37 years for the world to learn that he hadn't failed at all, that 18 men in foxholes on a frozen ridge had changed the course of the largest battle in American military history. Lyle Book lived to be 92 years old. His Aunt Mildred was right. He died on December 2nd, 2016, 15 days before his 93rd birthday. The most decorated platoon leader in World War II history, and for 37 years, nobody knew his name.